Welcome to Saturday Night Cenobites. My name is Srethney, and I am the host every single week. And I bring actors and directors and everyone in film, producers, whoever works in the film industry, on board, and I get to interview them for about an hour or so. Sometimes they go on longer, but my main goal is to get them more followers on their social media and raise funds for my favorite theaters. My personal favorite theaters, the Sunray Cinema and the Corazon Cinema and Cafe in North Florida. And also, definitely y'all have to check out some of the works that are my guests. There we are, that are on the show tonight. And tonight it's my huge honor that I bring a friend of mine that I met in Los Angeles. His name's Kevin Mangold, and we're going to talk about his career and all that good stuff. So, welcome to the show, Kevin Mangold. Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Hey, Sarat, it's great to see you. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yeah, Mangold. Yep.
Awesome, fantastic. How have you been?
Good. As good as can be under the circumstances, I guess. But I don't know what else there is to say. Under this crazy world condition, but I have nothing to complain about. With my life right now, I'm doing well as can be. So
most definitely.
Hanging on.
I'm so glad that you and Armando are safe tonight, and my pals out in LA. And I'm so glad that I got to meet you both. And while I was out there for about 4 years, I believe, and all that good stuff. And
yeah, it's been a while since we've seen you.
Yeah, it's been 6 years. Could you believe it?
Wow. No, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And we got close. We got close to having lunch recently. So
yeah, I was supposed to go out there to perform at a comedy festival, and then they got shut down. So,
yeah.
But they're postponing it till next year, so which is a good thing.
Good.
And I'll be the next year, and we can go have lunch and all that good stuff with the three of us and catch up.
Yeah, sounds great.
Fantastic. So you've been in the film industry since 1986 with Silver Spoons. What are some of your memories from Silver Spoon?
Oh man, so many. I remember everything, but for some reason my memory on that stuff is so clear. Alfonso, working with Alfonso Ribeiro was so great, and I got to hang out with some of the, like, I don't even know what to call them, the kid brat pack when I was a kid myself, and so I was kind of a little bit of in that group with the Coreys and all of that stuff. So I kind of got to meet all of them and got to be a part of that whole gang for a little bit. And I was when I was in college, I was 19, 20, playing teenagers. I always played much younger, so I was always playing a kid much younger than I was. So it would be weird to be playing somebody younger, and then I would go hang out with these people that were older than people I was playing. So
most definitely, indeed. And let's see here. You in the following year, you were in Crack the Big Lie in 1987.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of your favorite memories from that gig?
That was filmed right here in LA. In fact, not far from where we live now. And sometimes I walk past it's a school. We walk past the school, and that was a really interesting shoot. It was first like an ABC after school special, and it was about crack, obviously. And I just played one of the school kids. It was a pretty small part. It was, one of my first parts. I was in college still when I got that role. So I guess what I remember about it most is that I was super psyched to be working on a set, and with all the lights and professional, the crane and the dolly and the the director and all of that stuff. And so it was one of my first big jobs. So that's my memory. Is it was like I've made it, do one little job, and I think I've made it in Hollywood.
Indeed. And growing up, I was about 13 years old at the time, and I remember the Ellen Show was on TV, the sitcom.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your memories of the Ellen Show?
That was a lot of fun. I was only in one episode of Ellen. I don't know if I would need to describe the episode, but I played a bear, where she and Paige got stuck up on a fence, and I was a big grizzly bear. I do a lot of suit work. I played Mickey Mouse, played Peter Pan at Disneyland, do a lot of creature suit work even still. But then I was doing suit work in addition to regular acting, and on Ellen, I played a bear. And so I was one of the very final gag in the whole show was that the bear comes up behind them and when they're hanging up on the fence. So I got to do that. And it was when Ellen was, the show was huge. It was in her prime. And so, being there with a live studio audience and, any show, Silver Spoons was the same way, and been on quite a few shows now that way that have a live audience, but there is nothing, like live stage There's really nothing like a live audience. And so that's what I remember most about Ellen was the live audience was insane. Because one thing Ellen did, all of the jokes different, like the punchlines were different every time. And, we shoot a show 2 or 3 times, the same episode 2 or 3 times in one day. And she would do different punchlines over and over. And even in between takes, she would come out. And when the camera was being set up, she would come out and tell jokes to people. And so that was really one of the most exciting times working really.
Indeed, man. If I lived in LA, I should have taken time out to go to a show and watch a live tape.
Yeah, I don't know why more people don't. It's so easy. Like you don't even the audience. They try to get audiences. They pay people to fill the audiences, and so I don't know why. It's just so easy. You just literally walk up to the studio gate and say, "Can I have an audience ticket?" And they give you an audience ticket, and it might be the next day or 2 days later, but it is a lot of fun. You can really see some good acts, especially going to like night shows, talk shows at night. You can see some big famous acts, like that you don't even have to pay for. You can go sit, a few feet away from them. So I would suggest definitely if you're in LA, go to live studio audience shows for sure.
Indeed, I'll be sure to put that in my itinerary when I go out there next year.
Okay, in fact, let's go. Let's plan one when the world gets going again. When we're doing indoor things again, we can go do that.
Absolutely. You set it up and I'll go with you, and that'd be awesome. Yeah. And I remember growing up and watching Saved by the Bell, the new class as well. And I was still a teenager at the time. And what are some of your memories from that show?
Oh man, that was a crazy time. I played, a nerd. I played a real super nerdy. You can go on my website, by the way. You can see photos and videos of almost all of these, clips from almost all of these shows. But I played such a nerd, really like big glasses and I had a lot of fun on that show. Again, that was much later. I was in my 20s playing a teenager in high school. I was like 26 or something like that playing a teenager. So, but that was it was a lot of fun. It was in what is it, the college years, or what is it, Saved by the Bell, the New Year's, or the college years or something. So it was kind of later after Saved by the Bell, it kind of lost its luster,
Indeed. And that's pretty cool that you got to play someone that's like 10 years younger, and I'm 37 and people think I'm 26, 27. So
yeah. I'm 52. I'm not afraid to hide. I'm 52. And I mean, I'm showing my age now, but when I was, 30, I looked 16 or 17. So, sometimes I guess, I could play that for sure. And I still double. I'm a stunt double. So I guess from the side and from behind, I'm still, I'm exactly 5 foot even. So I'm tiny. And, I'm about the size of like a 13-year-old, but my proportions are all the same and all of that stuff. But I'm aging in my face. So from behind, I look like a kid. It's good for stunts.
Indeed, we'll definitely get into your stunt work for sure. And in 1998, you were in Gangland. What are some stories on Gangland?
That was called Pariah originally. When we shot it, it was called Pariah, and we went up Northern California or Central California, just some little ranch house for about 4 days, and just banged that movie out. And again, that was early. That was so much fun. It was one of those. God, I don't even know how to describe it. It's one of those things where like a bunch of people all never met each other. We all just get together in a house and then in a van from location to location in this little tiny town. And like in 4 days, we become complete family, and we made a movie. And I guess that was my experience mostly. I kind of remember more the personal side of it, the hanging out with people and getting to know people, because it was just such a weird experience where everybody's like all kind of sleeping on the floor together, and they were, okay, let's get up, we're going to the set, so it was the more camaraderie part of it that I remember most about that movie. But that was a lot of fun. We had big train, we had a lot of big elements. We had a train, like a giant locomotive, and just some big elements. So it was good. It was fun.
Most definitely, indeed. And you were a horse jockey when you were in your 30s,
right?
After reading your bio, and so you applied to Seabiscuit, the movie in 2003. What are some stories on the Seabiscuit?
Seabiscuit was a lot of work. I worked on it for a long time, for I think 4-5 months maybe. And we went all over the country to different tracks, riding different horses, and that was after I had just started racing. I had been racing professionally. I was racing at Santa Anita for like maybe 6 months, and then they contacted me and asked me about it, and quite a few of the people jockeys at Santa Anita had roles, but I was chosen to do a pretty nice speaking role. I had a pretty nice role with Chris Cooper, and so that's the biggest memory, is that I got to actually act on camera with Chris Cooper, and he gave me some nice compliments, and we didn't have to do a million takes, which was nice, and I was in an Academy Award winning movie now, so that's the big memory, really, of it.
Did they get to did you get keep a statue of your award?
Oh, I wish I had won one. No, but the movie won a lot of different awards and stuff. But they should have made one for everybody. That would be that would be fair.
Indeed, I agree wholeheartedly. It's a team effort,
Yeah, for sure. Everybody, the lighting guys, the cinematographer. Well, actually, the cinematographer did win for Seabiscuit. Cinematographer actually did, right? Pretty sure cinematographer won. Might have to look that one up.
Indeed. And in 2008 and 2009, you were in The Mentalist and Cold Case. How did you balance those two out, and what are some stories behind those two shows?
Not a lot of balancing, really. I mean, I did stunts. I did stunt acting. I'm trying to remember exactly what the roles were, but I think I was stunt doubling kids in both of those. And it's just, I don't live far from the studio. I have a Fox studio down the street one way, and then NBC down the street another way. So I went to the studio for both of those. Actually, I went to the studio for no, actually, I take it back. Both of them had a little bit of studio work. Both of those, you're talking about The Mentalist and Cold Case.
Yep.
We did studio work as well as going on to location. I remember Cold Case was, I got to do a nice huge fall off a cliff into a river, and the whole thing was made on the studio set. So it was, the cliff was manufactured and the water running was manufactured, and I played a kid that tried leaping across a big ravine and missed, and then slip and fall, and so they had to have a big platform that looked like the top of a cliff, and I jumped across and kind of reach, and fingers have to slide, and then I fell off into the water, and so that was a lot of fun.
Indeed,
it's all fun. Stunts are just fun in general.
So. Indeed, it looks dangerous, but it looks like, as you said, it's fun too. Yeah. And one of my favorite comedians is Chris Rock, and you were on his show. Everybody Hates Chris. And how did you land that gig, and what are some stories on that show from 2009?
Same. I got hit by a car. So I don't know if you remember, there was a certain, you'd have to look up the episode, but in the episode, forget his name, Chris's friend. God, it's been so long ago, but in the show, the young kids, remember he had his best friend. He was learning to drive, and he runs over, the young Chris character runs over his best friend with a car. And I was his best friend getting hit by the car. So I get to get hit by the car and roll over the top of the windshield and fall over. And so that was fun. I got to, obviously be on set all day and hang out with all those guys all day. And, whenever I'm on the set, I always take a point to walk around and take pictures and look at as much stuff as I can and take in as much of being on set as I can. Even though, no matter how much work you do, you're only, even if you work a lot, you're not really on a studio set often, so I try to take advantage of it. And in that case, it was a show that I was so familiar with that I took a point, I made a point to walk around and looked at the school, like the hallways in the school and the entrance to the school. I looked at the lockers and then even going up in the rafters and looking at it from where the lights hang and all of that stuff. And so I remember that's my specific memory about that show, was that I made a point to really soak it all in. Like, I looked at everything. I looked at where the cameras were and where, like kind of trying to learn, that was when I was first starting to think in terms of, I can do this, I can direct and I can produce. And so I started looking at like where things were and how they did things, how they hid things, what was in view and what was hidden and all of that stuff.
Most definitely. Indeed. That's pretty neat. And And in 2009, you were in 213. What are some of your memories from 213?
Yeah, that was interesting. That was kind of a torture movie. I had to hang. I was all like bound up with ropes and stuff, and I was hung from the ceiling for quite a long time. We had to film a long scene. It was about a kid that gets kidnapped and is hung from a ceiling by some maniac guy. And so that's pretty much, I guess in this case, the director was the maniac guy, because I got hung from the ceiling for hours by some maniac guy. So that's my memory of that of that movie. But it was fun. You should check it out. It's an interesting movie. These are all pretty fun. Some of them low budget, some of them not so low budget. But it was a fun one. 213 was good.
I'll definitely have to Google it and check you out in the movie. That's
right.
pretty fun. And in 2009, you were in The Devil's Tomb. What are some stories from The Devil's Tomb?
Cuba Gooding Jr. What's that? What? Oh, Henry Rollins. Yeah, right. Cuba Gooding Jr., Henry Rollins. Yeah, in fact, Henry Rollins, I got to hang out with him and sat in his trailer with him and talked. And that was actually the best part of that whole shoot, was hanging out with Henry Rollins. Yeah.
Dang, that's pretty
forgot about that.
From Black Flag.
And yeah, and in that one, that was a kind of like a futuristic space thing. And I don't want to like give it away or anything, but my stunt was, I was encased in a water, like a tube of water. And so I was literally sealed in, and I couldn't come up because it had a seal. And so we had to shoot everything under the water. And then when we stopped, they would have to remove it and I would have to come up. And so everything we shot, I was literally sealed into a watertight tube, which was nerve-wracking and scary, but turned out to look really awesome.
Most definitely. I gotta definitely check that one out too.
Yeah.
These stories are so awesome.
Cool.
All the stories behind all these movies and TV shows.
Right on.
Yeah, and in 2009, where you were in The Opposite Day, and what were some stories behind The Opposite Day?
Well, the story was that it's a movie about kids that turn into adults and adults that turn into, the opposite. Like in a flash, kids turn into adults and adults turn into kids. And they've made a whole bunch of them, but in this particular one, I did stunts for pretty much every single adult that turned into a kid. So there was, like, for example, a police officer driving a police car, and then a jump cut to a kid sitting in the police car. And so they can't really get kids to drive motorcycles and drive cars and have jackhammers. And so I did almost every one of those. They were like golf carts where, a big man would be driving the golf cart, and then all of a sudden it would cut to me in the kids' clothes with, like, oversized. It would be the man's clothes all oversized, and then me driving the golf cart. And so I drove every vehicle and did a jackhammer and a motorcycle and a golf cart and a police car and everything. a mail post, like a postal carrier thing. And so that's what I did in that movie. I played a bunch of stuff, just basically doing all these different things where I was wearing like a kid, but in men's oversized, uniforms and stuff. Big police uniform hanging off and stuff. I remember I had the police hat. It was all like giant, tipping off to the side. Well,
definitely. That sounds like a pretty cool movie there too.
Yeah, and, yeah. I mean, it's a kids movie. It's a kids movie. It's like Nickelodeon and stuff.
Sweet. And we have viewers in the audience, so if you'd like, jump into the chat box and interact with us, but be nice to us, and we'll answer all your questions if you have some. So, in 2010, you were in Zeke and Luther. What were some stories on Zeke and Luther?
Well, that was fun. That was story about two like skateboarder kids. It's a kid show on Nickelodeon. I think it was Nickelodeon, one of those kids channels, and I got to do a really awesome stunt where I went down a hill on a shopping cart, and the stunt was the shopping cart is really going all the way down the long street, which we did. We put it on a rail, and we got it going really fast. And then we had to take a real shopping cart for the shot where it hits a curb, and then I come bouncing out of it. And so we did that shot a whole bunch of times where we put a pad on the ground, and I came flying out really high, and then we had to do a few takes from the ground where I didn't have a pad, and I had to jump out and just land on the ground, take the dirt that time. So if you watch it, you can clearly, in almost all of these, like, in Everybody Hates Chris, and actually almost every stunt, that I do. And if you watch other actors, you can always tell the moment of stunt insert. You can always tell where the stunt is put in. And in most cases, when I do the job, I'll pause it and I'll watch, and you can see the frames, and you can always find my face. And so anyway, I remember in Zeke and Luther, there was a whole long 4 or 5 second sequence where I'm rolling, and it's clearly, if you look at it, you can clearly see, like, that's not that kid, that's Kevin right there. So I do that, but you would have to pause it obviously to play it through. You can't see it. It's the whole point. And then I try to bury my face and stuff, but sometimes when you're protecting, using your hands to land on the ground, you can't cover your face so well, and then they're just stuck with using the take that matches best, so your face gets in. And so in that one, I remember that my face was like clearly in that shot.
Most definitely, indeed. In 2011, you were in The Mudman. What are some of your memories from The Mudman?
Mudman is one of my very favorite projects that I've ever worked on. And if anybody gets a chance to see that, I would highly recommend it. It won, I don't know what the name of the film festival is. You could look it up. But it came to a film festival here in Los Angeles. I think it's the only one it ever played at, and it won best of show or best film or whatever. And Mudman is about creatures made of mud that are created by angels of some sort. It's kind of hard to say what they're created by, but creators. And I played one of the Mudmen. I played the boy Mudman, the character named Boy. And Golden Brooks was my mother, Golden Brooks from Girlfriends. And it was such an incredible experience. Unless you've seen it, it'd be hard to describe it. But to play a creature that was just created, and this was just acting, really no stunts really to speak of. It was an acting role. And in fact, you can see a couple little clips of it if you go to my website. You can see some clips of it and see some images and stuff. But the whole thing was just surreal. The director, he just created a complete whole world of his own, and I can't say enough about that movie. And I hope, for some reason, he hasn't released it, which is very frustrating to me. But I hope that someday that movie makes it out, because it's beautiful.
Indeed. And when you mentioned that your name was Boy in the movie, it took me back, because growing up, my nickname was Boy with my whole family. And because my name is hard to pronounce from my entire family, so it's they just call me Boy, and I'm like, all right, just call me Boy. It's
well, fine. when you're in town next, we'll sit and watch it.
Okay, that'd be awesome. Yeah, indeed, most definitely. I love movies like that. So
it's really awesome. It's a fantasy, just heartbreaker. It's really great. It's really a great movie.
Most definitely, indeed. And this is the time where I met you, and some of my friends were involved in this movie that was on Sci-Fi Channel called Red Clover. And what are some memories from Red Clover?
That movie was so much fun. I went to New Orleans to film that, and oh man, just right off the bat, the minute I got there, I flew in. I kind of found out about the role they were replacing someone. So I found out about it. A friend of mine who is a costume suit guy called me and said, we're having a problem with filling this position. And it was the lead role. Basically it was maybe not the lead role, but I mean, it's the title role, it's Red Clover, Leprechaun's Revenge. So it was the Leprechaun. So I went in landed at the airport, went straight from the airport to the set, and then went into makeup, and it was about 4 or 5 hours of makeup every day, and then immediately straight out to set. And we worked nonstop day and night for a couple weeks doing that movie. And there were some days where I literally didn't get out of the makeup. It's all painted on and plastic, and so it takes hours to get in it and hours to get out of it. So if you've got 4 hours to sleep, you don't have time to get in it and get out of it. And so I was literally going to my trailer and falling asleep in Leprechaun. So
that sounds pretty intense.
Yeah. And there were some big names in it and stuff. So I got to hang out with some, good big people, and I always take advantage of that.
Most definitely, indeed. And they're great to pick their brains and stuff and all that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and make connections. And I have, script ideas that I always, I try to throw off people and stuff. So, so in that case, it's good to make to get work, make work connections. The bigger job, the better connections you can make, obviously. So.
Most definitely. And in the same year, you were in Black Box TV. What are some stories in Black Box TV?
Yeah, I played that was really cool. I played a teddy bear, like a life-size teddy bear that was someone's nightmare. And so there was a little girl in the movie, and it was her nightmare. And she actually was using her powers for her good. And so we got to do this really cool scenario where she was standing just in front of me, and you can picture this giant teddy bear with like bloody teeth towering over her. And every movement that she made, I would mimic her. And I could really barely see out of a little hole. You know, it was a big suit, and I could barely see out of a little hole in the nose. But whenever she would turn or raise her body, and I would mimic her. And so the shot was this little girl moving, this giant bear behind her. So it's like she was puppeteering this giant bear, and it was just so creepy and scary. And some of the shots, even just when I walked around taking pictures of the set that day, are just creepy and scary. So if you have a chance to watch it, you should. It's really cool. It's a really good scary ending. So.
Indeed. I'll definitely have to get a list of you from all your recommendations, because your whole like resume is just impressive, and some of them stand out more than others. And
thanks.
That'd be awesome. You jumped into the editor's chair in the typewriter in the 21st century in 2012. What was that experience like?
It's one of my first I've edited a couple documentaries and a couple just feature films now, but that was one of my first. It was for a couple friends had come to me, and they had shot the whole thing. And I think maybe they had started editing with someone and made a change or whatever, but came to me with basically all of the elements. And then I just sat down hour after hour with the director, and we edited, with him over my shoulder. We edited it together, and it was a great learning experience. I've really come a long way since then. So I guess in that regard, I looked at that as just a real learning experience. It's an interesting documentary. It's just about what the typewriter is used for today, and you would be surprised that it is still used enormously. So if that kind of thing is interesting to you, check it out. But most people think typewriters dead, but they are actually still being used by a lot of people.
Indeed, most definitely. And in 2013, you were in Mobster. What are some stories from Mobster?
Yeah, Mobster, I produced. I was me and a friend of mine, Brian Johnson. We produced it together. I wasn't in it, but I produced it, and that was my first feature production. And so I'm just super proud of that it made it out, and you can watch it. You can go to like Redbox. You can go play. You can see it. You can go to Amazon and buy it. And so it's just awesome to see a movie that I produced on for sale, and it was just a whirlwind. I have a million stories. I could go on forever and ever. Making a movie is something that it just comes with its own stories, and I've always thought every movie could have another movie about the making of the movie. And this is definitely one that could have a making of, for sure. But Mobster was an interesting movie. We made it pretty much all around here, Beverly Hills, around Los Angeles area, and we rented some incredible. The whole thing, it looks like $1 million movie, and it's certainly not. We got access to some unbelievable mansions in, like I said, Beverly Hills and up on Mulholland Drive, and some can't remember his name. The guy that produces American Idol. We used his mansion. He let us use his mansion. What the heck's his name? I can't think of it. Anyway, the guy that produces American Idol, he let us use his mansion. And if you were to watch Mobster, you could just, you could watch it. It was pretty easy to watch these days. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's giant pool and just insane $1 billion mansion. It overlooks the whole city of Los Angeles. And so that was really my biggest experience, was that we got to just use some, Maseratis and Ferraris and incredible elements pretty inexpensively. And we put together a nice movie that looks way, way bigger than it was.
Indeed. Is it possible? Was it Simon Fuller that was the mansion?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. I had to Google.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure.
Exactly. Yeah, Simon. Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, in fact, I knew it was Simon, but it's not the Simon that's on the show. It was the producer Simon. But yeah, he was like out of the country or something, and so his house was empty, and so friend of a friend said, "Oh yeah, I know this place." And so it was incredible how that happened. It was really weird on that movie on Mobster how time after time we would need something and just so happened like, oh yeah, I'd be talking to somebody and like, oh yeah, it turns out I've got this exact thing. I mean, we came up with some incredible vehicles and just unbelievable locations, things that, would have cost us way too much. And we were able to put it all together. And so every time we came upon an element that looked beautiful, we would say, let's put that in, figure out how we can shoot right there. So, so that's what we did. Mobster turned out really, really nice. Looks great. So,
Awesome.
So I'm proud of it. I'm really proud of it.
Sweet. And you also worked in the visual effects department in the film as well. And what are some stories?
Yeah, I didn't edit that one, but I did all of the visual effects. I did. And in fact, the movie it's told through like cameras that are hidden. So it has a lot of like first person camera stuff. So it has like a lot of GPS, a lot of screen overlay stuff where there's like GPS coordinates and all of that stuff. So I did all of that. I did, all of the visual effects, and there were a whole bunch of effects in it where there's like fire and things. We actually did have a real fire, but I did effects to kind of add to it. And so yeah, I did all of the visual effects on that, and including all of the titles, the opening titles and the credits. And I did all the PR, the website design, and all of that stuff. So.
Awesome. And in 2013, you were in Back in the Game. What are some stories from Back in the Game?
Oh yeah, okay. That was interesting. Who's the lead in that again?
I'm not quite sure, but
I can't remember his name. Back in the Game, the lead. That was a sitcom kind of. James Caan, right? That starred James Caan. So he was the big star of that show. He played like the father of a kid that was on some baseball team, and James Caan played the grandfather and the baseball coach of this kid. And so I was in a paintball game with him, and but I do have an awesome story about James Caan though. I'm not sure if it was a joke. I don't know where it started, but throughout the entire day, anytime somebody brought James Caan something like a script or a bottle of water or anything like a pair of gloves he had to wear for a scene, he had to put on these gloves for a scene. The person that would bring him, the production assistant who would bring it, would pull a tray, literally a silver tray, out of his waistband and would put the thing on the tray and would serve James Caan whatever it was with the tray. So instead of just handing him whatever it was he needed, it would be put on this silver tray that would then be served, which I thought was either really weird or really, really weird. Couldn't figure out which it was. I don't know if it was a joke. I don't know if somebody's playing a joke on me or on him, or if it was real or what. But someday I'm going to get to the bottom of that.
Indeed, most definitely. And a popular show that was on TV was in 2013, 2014. You were on New Girl. What are some of your stories from New Girl?
Well, yeah, I was on a couple episodes of that. I did some like stunt double work. I think there was a Halloween scene. That show was so much fun. First of all, it was a lot of fun. Those guys were just hilarious. And between takes, everybody was joking and stuff. And those guys were all hilarious. I made a couple little vines back when they had vines. I made some cool vines with a couple of the guys from the show. And it was a Halloween episode, and I don't remember the guy's name. I'm so bad with names. But one of the leads in the show is walking through a crowd of kids, and they were all kids with the exception of me. But I had a Halloween costume on. But then I started like beating him up, and I beat him up and kick him and knock him on the ground and start kicking him and stuff. And so it's just a little stunt that I do with one of the actors, but it's pretty funny. You can see that clip is on my website as well if you go to it.
Absolutely. I'll be sure to visit there, and we'll definitely go there and talk about some more of your stuff. But and because they're saying some commercials and all that stuff, so we'll dive into those too. So cool. In 2014, you were in Earth to Echo. What are some stories from Earth to Echo?
Yeah, that was a fun movie. I worked on that for about a week. It was just a lot of stunts. I did a crazy bike stunt, and I had like about 2 minutes to get it done. They basically said, okay, you see that huge ravine? You got to ride your bike down that. You ready? And I didn't, obviously it's not something I would practice. I mean, some things I might practice before we shoot, but the danger of going down this ravine was pretty big. And so I didn't really want to do it over and over. And I kind of just said, okay, let's go. So it was kind of my call. And I went down and we think we did it twice, but it went pretty perfectly both times. I think maybe the camera was mounted to my handlebars, and so it was the POV of the kid in the movie, and I was doubling the kid. And so there was a bike behind me, a camera, a camera crane bike, and then I was doubling the lead kid, and he had a GoPro mounted on his handlebar that they used that take. So, but I basically just went down this water rain drainage ditch down this super deep, steep hill on a bicycle, and I think that was about it. I did a couple other little stunts, but it was mostly that one.
Most definitely. And in 2014, you were in Bones, and I remember that show quite well. And what were some of the memories from Bones?
Bones was a stunt where I went flying, kind of similar to Zeke and Luther. I went flying down a long street. We actually blocked off a block street, and I went flying down a street in a shopping cart. And this was they rigged it. It wasn't a real shopping cart. They put like pneumatic wheels. And so it was one that would really get hauling, and they locked the wheels off so that it wouldn't turn. And so it was an episode that there were a bunch of trash cans set up. And in the show, the kids were playing bowling with trash cans. They were, running the cart into trash cans. And so I ran the cart all the way down the street and smashed into a bunch of trash cans and sent all the trash flying and fell into a heap. And in fact, I broke my leg, my foot, my ankle. I broke my ankle on that shoot because we did that probably 6-7 different times. I crashed, and it's not the going down and hitting the trash cans. It's the problem. It's what happens after, you hit the trash cans, then the whole cart flips over. And it's not just a shopping cart. It's a big, heavy, it has like a motor, and, it's a big, heavy cart that I was in. I was actually up inside of it, and another person was on the back. And anyway, so it tipped over and it flew. And then there's a big, heavy camera car that just barely ran over my foot, but it broke my ankle. So, but that was a fun stunt. I had a lot of fun. It didn't really stop me. It didn't stop me from continuing even that day. I continued that day even. So.
Oh, you're pretty tough for sure. Indeed. I would have been like, I'm quitting for the day, maybe a couple of days, but you're tough. Indeed. Yeah. And you also did visual effects in Varsity Blood in 2014. What are some stories from the visual effects department?
Yeah, I forget exactly what I did. I know I did some of the titles and credits, and to be honest, I don't remember exactly what I did. I did, some. I really don't remember. I know I did the titles and credits for it, and I think there were just some other scenes where I, matted out things, like sometimes in a shot there's something that you don't want shown, and so you take an earlier take and just take that corner of it. And so I did, to cover it up. I think I might have done some stuff like that, but a couple of their movies I edited, but that one I didn't edit Varsity Blood. I did the trailer. I'm trying to remember what I did. I did the trailer for them, and I did some other kind of PR stuff, but I don't really remember beyond that. I know titles and credits, but other than that, I don't remember.
Indeed. And you were also the editor for 12 Dog Days Till Christmas in 2014. Right. What are there memories from the cutting room floor?
Yeah, that was that was interesting. Yeah, that was a movie that you can watch now. It's on Christmas time. It comes on all the Christmas Hallmark or whatever. I think it's on Up TV, plays it every year. But it's one of those Christmas movies about a kid who a foster kid who tries to find homes for a bunch of dogs before Christmas. It's kind of typical Hallmark, but anyway, but I edited the whole movie. So, that they gave me all the footage that they shot in, I think, North Dakota or South Dakota or something. And then I edited the whole thing together. I also did all the titles and credits, and I do all the website design and all the promotion, trailers and movie posters and all that stuff for that company as well.
Awesome. And in 2015, you were in Henry Danger. What are some stories from Henry Danger?
Henry Danger. I did a small stunt job. Some of these are, I had a real big role, like, oh yeah, I starred in that. And others are just like, oh, I fell off something. But yeah, that was just like a simple, I think the lead actor had to fall down some stairs or something, and I fell down a flight of stairs. Indeed. That's a Nickelodeon show. So it was fun to be on the set. That was that's one thing about being on a Nickelodeon show. That's the sets, the sound stage is totally different than any other show. I could go on all day about a Nickelodeon show. So, but that was being on that show was very unique. Was Nickelodeon unique? So that would be a whole day of stories for that.
Most definitely, indeed. And one of my favorite shows in 2015 that you were a part of was called Grimm. What did you do on Grimm?
That was a Peter Pan episode, and I stunt doubled the main kid, and there was a big fight between the kid and the main character, and they literally jump and come together and fight each other. And so I played the kid when they did that fight, and we fought. Me and the actor jumped and ran into each other and fell on the ground and rolled around and took some punches. And as the stunt guy, I'm kind of, the actor generally is trained to give more than the stuntman does. Stuntman can't punch an actor, obviously, but as the stunt guy, you're kind of, go ahead, give it a little bit. And so on that one, I got kicked a bit, got punched a bit, and it shows if you watch that episode, it really plays well. So I'm glad they did.
Indeed. In 2015, you were part of the editorial department in 3 projects. The first one was an unexpected journey. What are some stories from that one?
That was fun. Yeah. I wish I had all of these up in front of me because I'm just bad with names and my memory is bad. But the director of that was a really great guy. It was a short film. I love filmmaking, and I love, I'll do anything I can to help filmmakers. And that was just something, a director had shot a bunch of stuff and he didn't really know what to do with it. He didn't have, the ability to edit it. And through a friend of a friend, somebody contacted me and just asked if I'd be willing to help him. And I loved the footage. He showed me a little bit of it, and we sat down at the editor, and it wasn't that long, 4 or 5 days. We put it together, and I did all the visual effects. It has a lot of ghost elements, and so I did all the visual effects and all the music and everything. I did the entire thing. I edited, completely finished the whole movie. I just took it from shot footage and then completely finished the entire thing. And it was a lot of fun. You can find it online and stuff. You can check it out. It was a good fun piece of short film.
Awesome. And you also edited Money Man, Frank Vanderlip, and The Birth of the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, it's another documentary. Yeah, that was fun. That's for my very good friend Vicky Mack. I love documentaries. I love storytelling. Anyway, this was a subject that I really. She won't hate me for saying this. It was about, a financial guy, so it's not a whole lot of fun, but the documentary has so many moving elements that it was just tons of old footage, like old 1920s footage, that it was a lot of fun to make. It was a ton of work, but it's a historical documentary, and so it taught me a lot. And it's a piece of work that will always be with me. It's important to me. That one is one of my important ones.
Most definitely. And you also did editing in All She Wishes in 2015. What are some stories from All She Wishes?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Same thing. I don't remember exactly what I did. I don't I don't remember what I did. I don't think I edited that whole movie. I don't remember, to be honest, what I did. I know I did titles and credits and stuff, and that's the same company that, does the Christmas. I do quite a bit of things for them where I edit scenes, or I don't think I edited that whole movie, so I'm not sure what that's referring to. I know I did. Maybe I edited their trailer. I don't remember exactly what I did with them. I think I did some visual effects for them. There was some snow effects and stuff. I think I did some of that.
Sweet. And in 2015, you were the production manager of Sound of SP. What are some memories from being a production manager?
Oh yeah. Oh, I couldn't think. I think they changed the title of that a couple times. That was I keep talking about the same friend, my friend Brian Johnson. That was one of his projects he asked me to help with, and I like I said, I'll always do what I can to help. And so I think I don't remember. I don't think I edited that one. No, I didn't. But I produced it. I think that was a lot of fun. That was a touching. You can find that one online too. That was a lot of fun. It's a film that we shot in a few days. So that was, one of those jobs where you come together and bang it out and work, 20 hours and then, okay, we'll be back here in 4 hours. And so that's what I remember about that one.
Indeed. And you work in the sound department of MUST, Makeup Sex Therapy. What are some stories from the sound department in that?
Yeah, I remember that. That was, I did all the sound, yes, the boom mic, which is weird. I'm 5 feet tall, and the last guy you should have on a set holding the boom is this little 5 feet tall guy. But I made it work. I took a ladder with me everywhere, and I had a little stool, and I climbed up on the ladder, and I'd hold the boom mic. But I mostly would hold it under. I can hold the boom under. But I would just walk around with the sound recorder and record all the scenes and keep the sound log. And I've done actually almost. I say almost, but I think I've done every single position on a film set. I've been a PA, I've done sound, I've been script supervisor, I've been director, I've been, I've run the camera, I've done all of it. So that's just another one of those where, I knew some people who were putting a film together and they already had positions filled. And so I say, where can I fit in, and so sound is where I fit in, and hopefully the sound on the project turned out good and they were happy with it. So.
Indeed. And you, in 2015, you were also in the script and continuity department for for John. What do you remember memories from being the script in continuity department?
Yeah, I was a script supervisor for that. That's but that was an interesting job. It was a fun little. It's another short film. It was a fun one. Yeah, I do remember that. I'm pretty sure I edited that too. I mean, some of these are kind of blurring together. I've a lot of projects, but I kind of remember that one.
Indeed. And the next one is what appears on your shirt, and one of my favorite TV shows that I watch religiously. And from 2015 to 2019, you were part of American Horror Story.
Yeah.
What are some of your memories from the show?
What a great show. What an incredible experience. On, a couple different seasons, I was able to be on both Hotel and 1984. I was in a couple episodes each. And so in Hotel, I was a monster and I got to jump on the teacher. If you remember when the kids in the classroom all jump on the teacher and they eat him. Well, I got to be one of the kids that literally jumps up on his body. And they originally hadn't planned that. We're all supposed to kind of get close to him and he falls down. And once he fell down, I had gotten to know the actor pretty well from rehearsing and stuff that day. And so I said, I'm going to jump up on you. All right. And so I literally jumped up on his chest and I was like biting at him and it was pulling at his clothes. And there was so much blood, it's like syrup and it's all sticky and it was just blood everywhere. And so that was that scene. That was the one for the classroom scene when I was one of the kids tearing the teacher apart. And then for 1984, I mean, I don't want to really give it away, except I was in one of the most iconic horror scenes where a boat, a canoe is in the water and a monster comes up. And so they recreated a really iconic horror movie scene. If you haven't seen 1984 yet, I don't want to blow it, but I play one of the most iconic horror scenes being recreated. And it's probably one of the best jobs in my whole career. No. And that's on go check out on my website. You can go check that out. You can see all the pictures, see who I'm talking about, what I'm talking about. You can even see clips of it and stuff.
Indeed. And that the show, I loved it, like every minute of it. And for both seasons, all of the seasons, more some than others. But I remember the finale of 1984 and how emotionally it made me, and that was such a great finale for that show.
Yeah. It was emotional for me too, just being on the set, to hear Julie Rabe, is that her name? Julie Rabe? To hear the mother, she was just, Lily Rabe, just to hear her screaming, like to hear a mother blood curdling screams of having just lost her kid. And it was heavy, deep. It was extremely emotional, just, for everybody, even, hung in the air, even, between takes, and you go to lunch and it's just hanging in the air. So everybody on that show takes it seriously. Nobody's just kind of phoning it in, and, nobody walks away from their emotion when it's done. The feeling was thick for the entire week, that I worked on it.
Indeed. In 2016, you were on Captain Fantastic. Which stories do you have from Captain Fantastic?
That was I just looked over my wall. I have a poster of it on the wall. sometimes I have to remind myself which ones are which. Captain Fantastic, I did some insane rock climbing with Viggo Mortensen, and I literally got to hang on the side of a mountain with Viggo Mortensen for hours and hours and hours. And then in the movie, I took this long plunge, and I shot this scene where it looks like the rope that I'm on breaks, and so I have a black, real thin cord that's actually holding me on the mountain, and then I have a big, bright rope that is not the real rope that's made to break. And so no matter what you tell yourself in your head when you have this big rope in front of you that breaks and then you fall, it's difficult to tell your brain I'm not really falling. And so you have to slowly work yourself into that, which we did. So I would start falling further distances each time until eventually I was falling. I don't know how far 21 feet, I think, is how far, or 22 feet, I think. I might be confusing that with the number of takes because I know we did 21 takes, but I broke my ribs on like take 3 or 4 because the harness that was holding me in, I dropped and then it jerked in and it broke my ribs. And so I continued to do the remaining 17 takes with broken ribs. And I guess it turned out, nice because the scene in the movie is really great. Like it really shows this kid. It's the son of Viggo Mortensen in the movie rock climbing, and he falls, and it's such a long fall that it looks amazing. So it turned out great.
Wow, that's
pretty. It was all worth it.
Indeed. In 2016, you were also in Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. What are some stories from that?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I did. I doubled the main kid. Not only that, I got to hang out with, what are their names? The guys that created the original series on Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. So it's Sid and Marty Krofft. Yeah, I got to hang out with Sid and Marty Krofft. And I remember as a kid watching their cartoons and stuff. And anyway, they were on the set, so I got to hang out with them. But I did all of the stunts for basically everything. They had a little sea monster that was about 2 feet tall or so. And then whenever they needed to do any sort of stunt, I would get down on my knees and I would do the sea monster stunt. And then I also did the stunts for the kid, for the main actor kid, who was like a 13-year-old, 5 feet tall kid.
Indeed. And you also worked in the sound department of Monty in 2016. What are some stories from the sound department?
Yeah, I did all the sound recording for that. That was an interesting movie. It's Monty? I forget who that was, but that was that was another historical short film. I forget exactly. Oh yeah, Montgomery Clift. Yeah, a film about Montgomery Clift. And I did all of the sound recording. Basically I was hiding in the front seat in the car with the microphone and, in all the scenes. And so I did all the sound recording, basically.
Awesome. In 2017, you were part of 4 projects. The first was called The Mick. What's some stories behind The Mick?
The what?
The Mick.
Oh, The Mick. Oh, yeah. Trying to remember. What is The Mick?
Window.
Oh, The Mick. Oh, right. Oh, okay. Sorry, I forgot what The Mick was. Yeah, that was a sitcom. And I doubled the main kid, and he was awesome. Great guy. But I got to just do things like I jumped through a window and did like some chases and falls and just did stunts for the main kid. But what I remember about that show most is that it took me right back to Silver Spoons, because The Mick was all about a kid that comes from a poor circumstance and is now living in a giant mansion. And I remember walking around the set of The Mick, and it was almost identical to Silver Spoons, where it's a giant mansion with this big grand staircase and everything. And the set literally took up 2 studios. So it was huge. It was a ridiculously large mansion set that had indoors and outdoors. And so I've got lots of awesome pictures and memorabilia and all kinds of cool stuff from that show. But that was a more recent one. And that show, I think that series was on for like 5 years. So that was a pretty good run. And then it was just canceled, like a year ago.
Indeed. And you're also on Desperate Housewives. What are some stories from the show?
Eva Longoria, I doubled doubled her and also a kid in the same episode. But there was an episode where she had to ride on some handlebars of a kid on a bike. And so I got to do actually both ends. I got to be her sitting on handlebars, being her, and then I also got to ride the bike with her on my handlebars. So I did, stunt double work for Eva Longoria. It turns out I'm exactly the same size, 5 foot even, 107 is the exact 107 pounds, 5 foot even is the exact same size that Eva Longoria at least was. So I don't know what she is now. It was quite a few years ago, but so I doubled for her on that show.
Awesome. And in the same year, you were in Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later.
Right.
What are some stories from that show?
Yeah, that was kind of a stunt acting thing. I wasn't just stunts, but I played a kid. I always play a kid. I played one of the camp kids, and one of the main actors is shooting arrows around, and I'm walking through with a fish tank, and it blows up. The arrow hits the fish tank and blows up, and so it's just a short scene about him hitting the fish tank. And, it's a pretty small scene in that one episode.
Indeed. And you were the production manager, producer, and editor of The Midnight Man. What are some stories from The Midnight Man?
Midnight Man with Ken Foree. That's my most recent. That was my most recent production, and that's a pretty good size bit of work. I completely produced that movie from the ground up. I did all of the pre-production, all the budgeting, everything. Literally did everything. Casting sessions. Everything, edited the movie, did all the visual effects, did all the titles and credits, was there every moment that we were shooting. I did literally everything from moment one to delivery of that movie, and it's it's distributed now and it's been delivered, and so that's my second feature film. I was gonna say like maybe 5 films now that I've produced, counting 3 documentaries and 2 feature films or something like that. But that's my biggest, production that I've done, production job.
Awesome. And in 2018, one of my favorite shows was called Fresh Off the Boat. Which was some of your favorite stories from Fresh Off the Boat?
Oh, that was pretty short episode. It was an episode about Eddie. Those guys were great. They were a lot of fun. I loved hanging out with them all day. I basically just rode a moped around. I doubled Eddie, and it's supposed to be when he's learning to drive, and he's driving a moped around, and I got to just get super crazy and act like I completely was out of control and just zoom all around, jumping up the curbs and driving over people's lawns. And that show actually, the houses in that show are actually on someone's private cul-de-sac. And so people, it's not a set, it's not a studio neighborhood. It's an actual real neighborhood. And so once a month or every, twice a month or so, they go block off the street and they pay all the neighbors to use their yards and all that stuff. And so we had full run of the neighborhood, but I got to run this moped all over the place. And then in the end, it crashes into the main car of this, the main car of the stars. So it was a stunt, a moped stunt, and I was doubling one of the kids.
Indeed. And what are some stories from Balloon from 2019?
Balloon was fun. That was a short film. It's won quite a few awards and stuff. Went to it was made by AFI, American Film Institute, and it was about a boy that, I don't want to give anything away, but it was about a balloon, I guess, that floats like a balloon. And so I got to do a lot of flying stunts, and I did quite a bit of work on that. I did all the stunts for all the kids that were in the show, but on that one, it was all flying. It was mostly rigging from different parts of your body, depending on where you're being picked up from. But flying up in the air, and we got some height for a few of those shots. If you were to see it, I think you can find it out there.
Indeed. One of my favorite movies was Brightburn. What are some of your stories from Brightburn?
Oh, I doubled the main kid. That was a lot of fun. I have that one on my wall here, right? Also, like I was telling you before, there's a few of those shots that in the few shots in the movie you can clearly go, that's me. There's but I did a lot of the stunts whenever he's flying, whenever he's lifting off the ground. It's usually me. I guess I shouldn't say whenever, but anytime he falls on the ground or anytime there's anything semi-dangerous, it's me in that movie. And I did a lot of stunts. There's a few scenes where from behind you think it's him, and it's clearly it's not even a stunt. It's just me walking through the room or something, where maybe they were using him to shoot something else that day, and they would use me with the B unit, second unit, and shoot things of like getting up out of bed and walking to the window, for example, in that movie is me. So I did like double stuff, but also just shooting double
Indeed. And Kevin, I promised you that I'd only keep you for an hour, but we're so close to the end. Would it be okay to go all the way
Yeah,
to
sure. Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
cool? In 2019, you were in Into the Dark. What are some stories from Into the Dark?
Yeah, that was a good one. That was fun. We shot that. I mean, my memory is, I guess, there was almost no vision. Is my memory really of that? When I think about that show, it's like blackness, with the exception of like a little tiny pinhole. I had the craziest mask that I was wearing, and if you go check out again to my website and check out the pictures, you'll see what I'm talking about. It was a weird, creepy, like kind of kid mask. But I had to do a lot of physicality, a lot of fighting and jumping with no vision, and so I was really doing a lot of stepping off, marking things by step. And then the actor was swinging the shovel over my head. And so it was almost like dance, we'd like 1, 2, swing, duck. And so there was a lot of choreography in that episode, and so much action, a lot of fighting. That one's really good. I think it's on Hulu. So if you get a chance to see that, I would highly recommend that.
Indeed. And how about in 2019, you were part of The Bridge. What are some stories from The Bridge?
Bridge was fun. That was, I guess I say that all of them are fun. Stunts are just fun in general. There's no time, or any being on a set of any kind is fun. But the bridge was a big stunt. That was a really high bridge, and it's a show about. Again, I don't like I don't give away, but my stunt is I had to fall off the bridge, and I was doubling the main kid, and that's traumatic. Anyways, when you get the parents of the kids that are portraying these actors and everybody's watching, and even if they know it's a stunt double, to watch the person wearing all the same clothes and same wig, same hat, looks exactly like my kid up there that was just up there, and then I fall off this giant bridge. And that's what I did. I fell off this giant bridge, and we used boxes, cardboard boxes, like you see in the movies. But that is, I fell off this long fall off of a bridge on my back into boxes, and that was a awesome, fantastic, fun stunt. Almost one of my favorites. It was my second favorite stunt.
Indeed. And in 2019, you're also in Bunked. What are some stories from Bunked?
That was a fun one. That was another one of those Nickelodeon kid shows. I went to the studio down the street and got to wrestle with one of the main kids. It was like a girl and a boy got in a fight. A brother and sister, and I doubled the boy, and got to like kind of fight with the girl a little bit, wrestled with her a little bit, and I fall. She threw me, which basically I like threw myself, and did a lot of falling and stuff. But it was a fight scene. It's always fun to be on the set. It wasn't so much the job that was exciting as it was being on on a big set.
Indeed. And in 2020, you did a couple projects. The first was being an editor for Strange Lights. What were some stories from Strange Lights?
Strange Lights is an interesting one. It really changed. It's a movie that I edited, and it completely changed its direction. It was kind of maybe a faith-based, maybe a religious movie when I got it, and we worked it, we edited it, we put it out, and it didn't really get a lot of feedback, and then we completely changed it to an alien space movie, and it's kicking ass. It's winning all kinds of awards. We're winning like well, shouldn't say we. I mean, I didn't direct it or produce it, but I just edited. I edited the film, and I also did all of the visual effects. And now, after I changed it to a space, science fiction, it's winning all kinds of science fiction short film awards and stuff. And it's extremely visual effect heavy, like a spaceship movie would be. So that one was really awesome and a lot of fun, and I'm hoping it keeps winning awards, and maybe it'll lead to bigger things.
Indeed. You're also part of The Sleepover. What are some stories from The Sleepover?
The Sleepover. Oh, that hasn't come out yet. That was so much fun. I went to Boston, and I jumped in. Well, what's the name of the river? The Boston Harbor. I jumped in the Boston Harbor, yeah, and literally swam across. Not all the way across because it's huge, but in the middle of the night, I jumped into the Boston Harbor, stunt doubling a kid that obviously they can't get the lead kid, but it's a kid's movie. I think it's a Nickelodeon, a Disney movie, I think, that's still waiting to come out as a result of COVID. All the movies are being, waiting, I guess, but hopefully that's going to be out soon. I got to do some really cool stunts on that. I got to actually do some really awesome driving, not driving, but I was in the car just flying around the city streets of Boston on wet roads, just literally sliding circles around Boston. Yeah, lots of explosions and all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's a fun movie. I did stunts. I stunt doubled again, I guess, to make a long story short.
Awesome. And how about Wish Upon a Unicorn?
Yeah, actually, I didn't know that that's what they were calling it. It was called Unicorn when I shot it, and that's a movie by a little girl that rides a unicorn. And so I got to do a lot of horse stunts where I would ride not a tiny horse, but I'm bigger than the girl, and so proportionally, I was riding a small horse that they're going to shrink down and make me the size of the little girl. And so I did a lot of horse riding, a lot of pony riding stunts, a lot of drones flying over me riding a pony.
Indeed. And then there's also the Prime Evils.
The Prime Evils is a job I did years and years and years ago. I went to Romania. It's one of my very first jobs, and I played a hominid, a really thick creature suit. You can see pictures of that also on my website. And I went to Romania. Not long after Ceausescu was driven out of power. And it was an amazing experience. The people I got to meet, I got to hang out with some amazing people, and I can't say it enough. I went to Romania. I was there for like 3 or 4 months. So that was one of my favorite experiences of my whole life.
Indeed. And you're also the writer, director, producer, and editor of The Apprentice Jockey. What are some stories from The Apprentice Jockey?
That one I've been working on for years, for over 10 now. I've been following the career of 4 jockeys that were apprentice, and sadly one of them has passed now. And it's really a documentary about what it takes to become a jockey, a thoroughbred jockey, and how ridiculously dangerous and maybe even how ridiculously stupid the industry of horse racing is.
Indeed. Most definitely. And from your IMDb chapter, I noticed that you're the CEO of Dogpile Productions.
Yeah.
Share some stories from Dogpile Productions.
Well, it's just my own company. It's not really, when I need a crew, I hire a crew per job, but for the most part, it's just me. And go check out my website. I do everything for film finishing, so anybody that has a job in mind, whether you've already shot it or whether you're just in planning, or Dogpile Productions will do anything from pre-planning to scheduling, budgeting, all the way up to shooting, editing, releasing. We pretty much do the entire filmmaking scheme from beginning to end.
Indeed. And you also went to the USC and you got a BFA in candidate in acting.
Right.
1990. What are some stories from your college years?
Well, I went there actually for 4 years, and I'm a BFA candidate, meaning I could go back. I didn't finish because in the middle of my senior year, I was cast in a Broadway show, Peter Pan, with Kathy Rigby. And so for 2 years, I toured the country, and then at the end of each year, we ended up on Broadway. And so we did the national tour for 2 years, and then Broadway run for 2 years. And so for 2 years, I was in a Broadway show, and that's what kept me from getting my BFA. So I don't have a BFA, but I'm a BFA candidate. So I always want to clear that, make sure I'm clear that I don't have that. But I could, at some point I could go back. I'm just, I've completely made my career in film, doing stunts and editing and stuff. So I probably, at this point, being 52, I will likely not go back. But I would say that my experience in college, probably it was the connections more than what I'd learned, at college that helped me most, I think, would be my connections.
Most definitely. And I highly recommend visiting Kevin's website, which is kevinmangold.com and dogpileproductions.com, because you've been in all kinds of stuff from films, television, stage, and commercials. And I know that I only promised you an hour, but would you like to go down memory lane for all those 4?
Sure. Armando, what time do you need to get in here soon? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we can keep going. If we get to the point that I need to get out, Armando's going to be using the room soon. He's got a show going on. So, but absolutely. Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. We'll do like word association for these ones, so we'll make them quick. So,
okay.
What's the first thing that comes to mind? AT&T Samsung Galaxy S6 Active Life Simulator.
Oh, I played a guy on a motorcycle. That one, I'll tell you what comes to mind with that is cash. I did well. Commercials do well. Commercials make more than any feature film, any job I could do on a movie, even a leading role. even as a leading actor, you don't get paid as much as you do in a national commercial. So between Claritin and that AT&T commercials, those are the biggest. And so that's what I remember about that one. It was a really fun one. It was basically, I just played a nerd on it, little guy on a motorcycle. A phone came down the road and I drove my motorcycle over the phone. So it was kind of a stunt actor thing. I got that through, stunts, through doing stunts.
Indeed, and wonderful pistachios.
So much fun. That was with Big Pussy from Sopranos. And I'll just summarize it really quickly. They were casting for giant lumberjack people. They were looking for people that are gangsters, that are mafia gangsters. And my agent sent me a 5-foot tall guy. And I was at this audition with literally like 40 guys down the hallway, all giant, huge people. And every single one of them that went in, the audition there was a pistachio on the table, and Big Pussy, what's his name again? The actor? Vincent Pastor. Vincent Pastor plays Big Pussy in Sopranos. He would take the back of my head and smash the pistachio. And so all of the actors went in and they would pretend to hit the table and they would act it, the giant big. And so when I went in, I just literally smashed my head into the table. And I did that like 3 times. And the director was like, how many times a day can you do that? And I said, I'll do it as many times as you need me to do it. And they cast me, even though the casting notice had gone out for like giant 6-foot tall lumberjack sized guys. I got cast as, and so I play this little mafia guy, and I'm just sitting there all, sheepish and afraid and looking at you can find it online. It's on my website. It's on YouTube. You can find it. It's one of the better wonderful pistachios. It's one of the better ones out there.
Indeed. And Lexus?
Lexus, I played a jockey. I got a lot of jockey roles. that was a big one. That was I was a jockey in like the winner's circle, and I was on this giant platform spinning around in a circle. It was a huge production, giant crane and everything, and a bunch of people applauding and stuff. It was like a winner's circle, horse racing winner's circle. It was a fun one. Another good paying, commercial. It was a good gig.
Indeed. And Fruit Roll-Ups?
Fruit Roll-Ups was a lot of fun. That was where I got to play an elf, and it's supposed to be a kid. Two kids are standing there eating fruit roll-ups, and then an elf runs up behind him and jumps up and gives him a wedgie. And so we had this huge fake underwear set, and so I would come out on a green screen and climb up this ladder and grab the huge set of underwear and pull them up, and then they merged the two in editing. So that one was really fun. If you can see, you can find it on my site or on YouTube. It's a funny one. It's really funny.
Awesome. And Vitamin Water?
Vitamin Water is fun. That was trying to think. I can picture it in my head. I know I did a bunch of stunts. I had like a big head on. I had a giant like balloon head on, and I did a bunch of crazy stunts on that one. It was like kind of animated. I don't remember much about it, but I know I did a bunch of stunts on that.
Indeed. And Starbucks?
Starbucks, I played a jockey again. We filmed it on Van Nuys Boulevard, like packed street, right? Like everybody was honking and shouting, and we were trying to film this commercial, but it was a priest and a priest and a jockey and something walk into a bar, and so I was the jockey, and but it was for I forget you said what it was for.
Oh, Starbucks.
Starbucks, yeah. And they only ran it a few times. I don't know why. I wish they'd run that a lot more, but that one didn't run much.
And Bud Light?
Bud Light was fun. I did a bicycle crash. That was another stunt. And a guy in front of me loses his toupee, and then it lands on my face, and then I crash into somebody. And so it was a big bike crash. I was on like one of those 3-wheeled bikes, and another stunt guy, a girl, was on a 10-speed bike, and we T-bone each other. And so it was a big bicycle crash. It was supposed to be, it was comedy. I mean, it was a big crash, but it was played funny.
Indeed. And Congress, 1 star?
That was a long time ago. That was with Kevin, oh man, what is that called? What was that guy's name? The Grandmama. I don't know if you remember, Grandmama was a big commercial thing back in the day. And it was one of those big Grandmama commercials. It was very early. It was when I was still in college. It was one of my first commercials. And I played an elf. I've played jockeys and elves more than anything. That's pretty much all I ever play. But early on, especially, it was an elf. So I was like dribbling and playing basketball as an elf. And I was with, I forget his name, some big NBA guy. But again, I'm bad with names.
Larry Johnson.
Larry Johnson. Yeah, exactly. And you can see my picture with him and, you know, all that stuff. You can see all the clips of it. But yeah, Larry Johnson. Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. And Bank of America.
Bank of America, I played a suit. I played an ATM machine. So it was another like costume suit. And they did a whole bunch of those too. They did like 6 or 7 of them. And I played the ATM machine. I didn't speak or anything. I just, you know, like a robot.
Indeed. Bank of England.
Bank of England was great. If you go to my website, check out that commercial. It was a lot of fun. I played a nerd that was kidnapped by a bunch of bikers to teach them how to do their banking. And so I was like in a, you know, nerd suit with glasses, and they throw me on the back of the motorcycle. I'm like, oh, listen to me. But it was a lot of fun. It was a cool one. That was a long time ago. That was in college, right out of college, maybe.
Indeed. And Gods and Heroes.
Gods and Heroes was a video game commercial that I was in that I play a warrior, like one of those, what do you call it? One of those like old knight warriors. And there's a whole bunch of giant guys behind me. And then I'm a little tiny, they all stand and spread and I'm standing behind them and lightning bolt hits me. And it's pretty funny. It's a good one. I mean, I guess I say that about all of them. It's a really funny commercial though. I did, you know, like it's a funny character.
Most definitely. And Nutri-Grain.
Nutri-Grain, again, I played a jockey, and that was for England. I always think yummy grains. It was a horse and a jockey it's 2 horses talking. It's the commercial, and they're talking about, oh, sure, wish we could have some Nutri-Grain. And so anyway, I don't even say anything. I just come walking out, and I walk past these 2 horses in my jockey outfit, spinning the whip or whatever, and 2 horses are talking back and forth to each other. So not a lot of acting in that one.
Indeed. And Converse React.
That was fun. That was one of the very early ones. I did that for Spike Jonze. When Spike Jonze was just starting out, he was just making commercials, and I met him at USC through one of my teachers at USC. It's one of the connections I was talking about. And we drove all around Los Angeles in a van, and he had a camera. Spike Jonze had a camera, and I was with him, and we just did the nuttiest shit all over LA. And he filmed it. I did nutty shit. He filmed it. And this is before Jackass. We're actually talking about the beginnings of Jackass. We were like, hey, we can just do stupid shit. We would go up to the top of a hotel and jump off the roof of the hotel into a swimming pool. I would swing on I took the flag rope down from a bank and swung way out over the traffic. He filmed that. I would do backflips off of trees. We'd go up to hotels and roll down the stairs. I think in fact, that is on my website also. That's on my website. The whole commercial is on my website. And I did a bunch of just crazy stunts. We no permits. We just literally ran like idiots through LA, jumping and flipping and bashing as much stuff as we could. And we got a bunch of really cool footage. The best thing was on Hollywood Boulevard, there's a huge escalator. And we went down this, I slid down on my chest, this giant escalator. And that turned out to be the big, and the biggest spot. And they used it in the Converse, for a Converse ad in a bunch of skateboarding magazines. In addition to that commercial that they made, they used a print ad for me going down that rail. They used it in a whole bunch of print ads and stuff, which you can see on my website.
Awesome. And Intel?
Intel, what was that one? Oh, that was with what's that guy? That guy from Waiting for Guffman, and one of the Christopher Guest. Yeah, that was for Christopher Guest. I did a commercial with him, and I played a jockey again. There's something weird about Christopher Guest, that he likes to put jockeys like kind of in the background of things. And so there's just a few scenes where it's just me and his main guy just standing together, and it's a really funny commercial. It's great. It didn't air for very long. But yeah,
indeed. And second winning program.
Oh, that was a horse rescue. You know, when I used to race back when I thought racing was cool. Now I'm much more into the horse rescue and trying to help horses. And so that was just a commercial that I donated my time to help rescue racehorses.
Awesome. And let's see here, Egghead Software.
God, that was a long time ago. That was a print ad for, you can see that on my website. It was so stupid, just nerdy, just such a nerd. That was one of my very first jobs. That was right out of high school. And I did a print ad for kind of a startup. It was a startup. I don't know if you remember Egghead. I don't think they're even around. Egghead Software is not around anymore. But there is some company called Egghead, but it's different.
Indeed. And 3DO?
That was a fun one. That was another video game. I played a guy that was going to pick up some girl on a date, and I had to meet the dad. And I was just like a little smart ass kid. I was in college when I did that. Again, that was one of my very first commercials.
Awesome. And I think we covered all your commercials and films and TV. You also did some stage work, but I'm not sure how much time we have left.
I think I've talked about my stage work. Just for the most part, just Peter Pan on Broadway, and then at USC, I was in some stage plays in college. But as far as professionally, I was actually in a couple. Laguna Molten Playhouse. I was in a show, the Laguna in Laguna Beach at the Laguna Molten Playhouse. I was in a play called Special Class that was about kids with handicaps. And that's it. Peter Pan and Special Class are the only two professional stage shows that I've done that are acting. I've done a whole bunch of characters, suit characters. In fact, I take it back. I was in the Hollywood Bowl show where I played Peter Pan, and that was a face character, just with the hat and the knife and everything. And I got to run around the audience, and that at the Hollywood Bowl with the Philharmonic behind me. And so I guess that's 3 stage shows.
Indeed. And in elementary school, you were in The Wizard of Oz as well?
I was. Yeah, I played a flying monkey. That was actually my very first acting role ever. Yep, flying monkey in elementary school.
Awesome. And we covered Special Class and Peter Pan and the Hollywood Bowl's Denver Symphonic Spectacular with, we covered that one. And Street Scene. You were also in Street Scene.
Oh, Street Scene was a USC. Yeah, it was a college play.
Awesome. And I Got You, Sonny and Cher lookalike show.
Oh, yeah, that was Hughes Aircraft had some show, some big show that I was hired to go play lookalike for. I guess I look like Sonny Bono where I did, but in the photos, if you go to my website, you see I kind of do. And the Cher that they had was great. She looked a lot like Cher. So I was just playing. I was a lookalike. I was hired as Sonny Bono, and then I just lip synced to I Got You, Babe.
Awesome. And stage production was The Happy Journey to Trenton and Camden.
That was another college one. I like that one. There were a couple of pictures of that. I think remember that one fondly. I think back to some of the people from USC. I think you and I have talked about a couple. We've talked about a couple of people I know from USC, but I was in a couple of good plays. That's one of them that I remember. The guy from Martin we've talked about, and anyway, I can't think of it right now. Again, I'm bad with names.
Indeed, it was Tommy from Martin.
Tommy, yeah, Tommy Michael Ford, yeah.
Indeed, most definitely. And I think we covered all your credits from films, television, stage, and commercials.
Yeah, I think so.
With all within over a little bit of 120 minutes, like the MTV show. And
nice.
And thank you so much is there any final words that you'd like to share the audience to visit you on your website?
Armando, you should come in here. I wanted to introduce Armando, but I think he's getting ready for his show, so I don't know if he's here. Are you close? Okay, Armando wants to come in.
Awesome. It's been forever since I've seen Armando.
Yeah, let me say hi. So, this I guess no last words other than we'll have Armando come in. He has to sneak in. We've got lighting and stuff. Okay.
Hey,
there he is. Yay!
How are you, bud?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's been forever. How have you been?
Oh, he can't hear. How have you been? He said. Sorry, he can't hear you.
Indeed.
There you go. Okay, now I can. Oh yeah. Let me bring Dewey up here too.
I'm as good as can be considered.
Awesome.
And our dog.
Hi, pup. How are you? Man, I always see your post with Batcave and New Art Theater and all that good stuff. And man, it's been forever since the Video West days when I'd have to pick up videos for Clive and everything. And those were some days for sure.
Yeah, well, the theater days are on hold right now, but I'm broadcasting with Batcave every weekend. Keeps me very busy, so and it's fun. It's very creative. I DJ horror, goth, industrial sets live online, and they're a lot of fun if you're into that kind of thing.
On the weekends, I have to get you on my weekday shows so that way I can interview you, and then we'll talk about your films and everything that you've done too. And I do that every Wednesday night. So,
wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Indeed. So not this Wednesday because I'm going to Colorado for my festival that I have to produce every year. But I will definitely interview you like in one of the September ones for sure. Will that
Oh,
work?
that'd be cool.
Awesome. That'd be fantastic. So I'll schedule you. We'll talk after, and I'll message you on Facebook or Twitter, and then we'll figure out a date for sure so I can talk to you about everything you've done. Thank you so much for thanking me in your book. I put that on my press kit, and I'm so proud of it. And
Oh, thank you for always being an inspiration, and I recognize that in you, and I definitely wanted to give recognition, for that. Plus, that was a big undertaking, within the writing world. So I gotta give credit where credit's due. So thank you.
You're welcome, and it's such an awesome thing that what Clive said about your book, and I see it in your header and your cover photo, and I'm like, that's what connects us again with Video West and with his coastline on your book, and it's just so awesome that all our worlds just just came together like puzzle pieces. It's so rad.
Yeah, we're in each other's orbit for sure.
Absolutely, indeed. So I'll thank you so much for being on the show tonight. And is there any final words from both of you, even the pup?
Yeah, what's this? Hello. Well, thank you, Sarath. It's really good to see you. So thanks again.
Absolutely.
You're very welcome, Kevin and Armando. It means the world to me that you took time out of your day to do this, and I can't wait to interview you about your movies. And I remember everything that you've done that you showed me while I was out there, and it meant the world to me. So thank you so much, and we'll talk about all those on Wednesday ePick. So awesome. Have fun at your show tonight, and I wish you well. And I'll see you both next summer.
Awesome. See you.
Awesome. Be well. Take care. We'll see you soon.
You too.